What's up everyone and welcome back to the UFC News Hub. Today let's get started with Joe Rogan talks about Michael Chandler on his recent podcast. Joe Rogan was talking about Michael Chandler on his podcast and he said some things that every MMA fan needs to hear. From Chandler's fighting style to his mindset, Rogan broke it all down. And some of the stuff he said was actually pretty interesting. Here's what Joe Rogan had to say.
That Chandler knockout was rough.
The kick?
Got front kick right into the jaw. There's a photo of Chandler's foot connected on Tony's face.
It's like a fucking Dolly painting.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild to look at like what happens to someone's face when a foot impacts their jaw. I mean, that's a perfect kick. And look at Chandler's quads. Imagine how much power's in that. Good Lord. Good Lord. Look at his body. He's just a ball of tense muscle just exploding on your face. Well, Bellator lost Michael Chandler, and look what happened. Michael Chandler became a fucking star. Like, people don't even know. Michael Chandler fought Eddie Alvarez in some of the craziest fights in Bellator. They're both dropping each other. I mean, wild fights. And no one saw them. Some people saw them. I'm exaggerating, obviously.
Yeah.
But no one in comparison to, like, who saw him knock out Dan Hooker or when he knocked out Tony Ferguson.
And this isn't the first time Rogan has praised him. Many years before, Rogan talked about Chandler's explosive power, his wild fighting style, and the fact that win or lose, Chandler always brings the chaos. Rogan's been a huge fan for a long time. And once again, he broke down exactly what makes Chandler such a special fighter. Here are some Joe Rogan's old clips where he talks about how great of a fighter Michael Chandler is.
That guy has a warrior spirit, crazy warrior spirit, like maybe too crazy. Like maybe if he fought, try to be a little more elusive, but it's like that's how he gets the fans too. He's do or die. And he does it every fucking time he fights, man. You can guarantee. Are you guys entertained? Michael Chandler's fighting. Some fucking chaos is gonna happen.
His run in the UFC since he's gotten signed has probably been the craziest.
Amazing.
The fucking craziest.
In terms of entertainment, holy shit. Every fight he's in is do or die.
Yeah.
All of them are exciting.
Pereira, Ankalaev, and Gaethje get ready for UFC 313. UFC 313 Embedded. Episode 3 gives fans an exclusive look at Fight Week as the biggest names in mixed martial arts prepare for Saturday's highly anticipated event at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. The intensity builds as the fighters go through their final training sessions. Before we continue, subscribe and click the bell icon to help support the channel. Media obligations and personal moments leading up to their bouts. Justin Gaethje, known for his relentless pressure and knockout power, puts in work at the UFC Performance Institute. Focused and determined, he sharpens his skills with his coaches, fine-tuning his striking and conditioning to ensure he's in peak form for his upcoming fight. Later, he takes a rare break from the grind, heading to a golf range with UFC broadcaster Megan O'Leary. Even in a relaxed setting, Gaethje's competitive nature shines through as he smashes balls down the range, showing that his power extends beyond the octagon. Meanwhile, Magomed Ankalaev, the powerful Dagestani striker, has his training session as he polishes his striking skills. With a title shot on the line, he knows this is his moment to seize the UFC light heavyweight championship. Every punch, kick, and combination he throws is calculated, reflecting the precision and discipline that have made him a dangerous contender. His focus is unwavering, his mind locked on the challenge ahead. Champion Alex Pereira, fresh off his meteoric rise through the UFC ranks, prioritizes recovery as much as training. Working with his physiotherapist, he ensures that his body is operating at its best ahead of his title defense. Pereira's discipline is evident as he meticulously follows his rehabilitation routine, demonstrating the level of professionalism that has made him a two-division UFC champion. His recovery and preparation are just as critical as his striking ability, and he leaves no stone unturned in pursuit of another dominant performance. Mauricio Ruffy, one of the rising stars on the card, finds his way to clear his mind before the fight. Taking a break from the intensity of training, he hits the racetrack, pushing high-performance cars to their limits. The thrill of speed and precision mirrors the skills he brings into the octagon: quick reflexes, control under pressure, and a relentless drive to win. As the week progresses, the paths of different fighters cross, creating memorable moments. Rafael Fiziev, a dynamic striker with knockout power, unexpectedly runs into former UFC fighter and analyst Chael Sonnen. The interaction is lighthearted yet insightful as Sonnen shares his unique brand of wisdom with the younger fighter. Fiziev, always one to enjoy the moment, soaks up the advice while staying focused on the challenge ahead. With UFC 313 just days away, tensions rise as the fighters make their final preparations. Each competitor is laser-focused, knowing that all their hard work, sacrifices, and dedication have led to this moment. Whether through intense training, strategic recovery, or moments of mental relaxation, everyone is ready to step into the cage and prove themselves on the sport's biggest stage. As fight night approaches, one thing is clear: these athletes aren't just here to compete, they're here to take what's theirs. Adesanya predicts Pereira will win UFC 313 by knockout. Adesanya has had a fierce rivalry with Alex Pereira, but that doesn't stop him from offering an honest breakdown of the UFC light heavyweight champion's upcoming fight. In the main event of UFC 313 at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Pereira faces his toughest test yet in Magomed Ankalaev, a skilled and dangerous opponent. Despite Ankalaev's well-rounded game, Adesanya believes Pereira will walk away with the victory, and he sees a knockout in the later rounds as the most likely outcome. One of the key factors Adesanya points out is Pereira's devastating leg kicks. He emphasizes that Ankalaev might start the fight standing, but will likely switch to wrestling after feeling the impact of Pereira's powerful kicks. Adesanya notes that Ankalaev has a strong straight punching game, which could pose a threat, but Pereira's ability to land fight-changing strikes gives him the edge. He also highlights Pereira's recent progress in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, stating that the champion is improving on the ground, even though he hasn't had to showcase those skills in a fight yet. In the lead-up to the fight, Pereira and Ankalaev have exchanged words about keeping the fight standing, with Pereira even offering a bet to test his opponent's willingness to trade strikes. While Ankalaev declined due to religious reasons, both fighters have expressed interest in contributing to charity instead. However, Adesanya believes that once the cage door closes, Ankalaev will abandon his pre-fight talk and look to wrestle. Adesanya, who has experienced Pereira's leg kicks firsthand in their multiple fights across kickboxing and MMA, knows how damaging they can be. While acknowledging Ankalaev's ability to switch stances and strike effectively from the southpaw position, Adesanya sees Pereira's momentum as a key factor in this matchup. The former middleweight champion predicts that Pereira will gradually wear Ankalaev down before landing a finishing blow in the 4th or 5th round. With Pereira already securing victories in multiple divisions and showing no signs of slowing down, Adesanya is confident in his former rival's ability to retain the light heavyweight belt. As UFC 313 approaches, all eyes will be on Pereira to see if he can once again prove why he is one of the most feared strikers in the sport. Alex Pereira versus Tom Aspinall, talks could begin soon. A blockbuster showdown between Alex Pereira and Tom Aspinall could be on the horizon, especially if Pereira loses his light heavyweight title to Magomed Ankalaev at UFC 313. As Pereira prepares to defend his belt on Saturday night at T-Mobile Arena, speculation is already growing about his next move if he falls short against the Russian contender. With Pereira making it clear that he has no interest in fighting Israel Adesanya again, UFC legend Chael Sonnen believes a clash with interim heavyweight champion Aspinall is the most logical next step. Sonnen insists that if Pereira loses at UFC 313, discussions for a heavyweight bout will quickly gain momentum. He also points out that many fans forget how Pereira originally moved up to light heavyweight, not because he dominated middleweight, but because he lost the title to Adesanya. Sonnen argues that the easiest way for Pereira to transition to heavyweight isn't by cleaning out the 205-pound division, but by suffering a defeat. If Ankalaev takes the belt, Pereira may look for new challenges rather than trying to reclaim his title. Aspinall, a rising force in the heavyweight division, would provide a fresh and exciting matchup. While Pereira remains focused on his title defense, the possibility of a fight against Aspinall adds another layer of intrigue to his future in the UFC. Whether he stays at light heavyweight or moves up to test himself against bigger opponents, Pereira's path after UFC 313 will be a significant talking point in the MMA world.